Hello, everyone. So I will start our presentation. And the second group consisting of members Anita, Maria, Shupei, Veronique, Jan, Andrea, Philip, Stefan, and Greta. I didn't forget anything. I will present the analysis of the valuation context and the structure of the valuation model for Schneider and Bauma case. Andrea, next slide. So here we start from IP value creation. As now all we know that IP value consists and IP value depends on three prerequisites. So here in the slide we see these three prerequisites. So one of them is value potential or exclusivity. That means whether the related IP enables to obtain exclusivity. Then we see the complementary assets that refer to the company assets or capabilities which are necessary for successful commercialization of technologies. And the last one is exploitation process. Here we need to focus on whether the company has the production facilities to produce the product. And Maria will go for
Yeah, as Greta already said, when we're talking about value potential, that basically means if the patent enables the firm to obtain exclusivity. In our case, if we're talking about Germany, then we are looking into patents P1 through to P4. For UK and France, it's P1 through to P3, and we disregard the patent applications because their future is unknown at the moment. In terms of the exploitation process, it basically means that the patent has to relate to a marketable product, which in our case is the case, and Bauma is taking over not only patents, but also the manufacturing side, so that would also contribute to the value. And finally, talking about complementary assets, whether the company, for example, has the production facilities to produce the product. In case of Bauma has both the construction equipment manufacturing capacity, it has the distribution network, and also the fact that Bauma has grown to through past years by acquiring smaller technology-based construction companies. That also means that they have the in-house skills for the actual integration of this acquisition. And here we move to the next slide.
Valuation has also been based on the valuation contents, which we have to know before performing it. We need to identify the reason why IP is being valued, the benefits expected to be generated by the IP asset, and who stands to benefit, in order to provide the customer with a relevant report with information exactly about his case and for case needs. From the very beginning, we have to get the answers on the following questions. Why do we need the valuation? In order to understand the purpose. What will be our role here, and what is the main goal here, in order to understand the purpose, and who will receive the report in the end, in order to understand the addressee. And now I give a floor to Stefan.
And in our specific case, where Bauma plans to procure shares of Schneider, we had a quite intense discussion whether it is an enterprise-oriented or a transfer-oriented case. It all depends on whether the complementary asset change. And since the indication in the case was that simply shares are being procured from this financial investor in Schneider, the solution was that it's a transfer-oriented situation, a course for the assessment. The purpose is, in that case, a consulting role of the valuator who is being hired and paid for by Bauma, the company acquiring the shares in Schneider. The goal clearly was here to have a valuation of a subjective value to Baume as the acquiring company to enter into negotiations, setting the absolutely top price that they are able to pay for the shares of Schneider, taking into consideration that the main asset is the patent portfolio. And the final question was, who is the addressee? And it's clearly the case that it's internal information, meaning that the management of Baume is being our addressee for the valuation. And with that, I hand over to the next presenter.
In this case, for the analysis of the subject matter, we choose the inside-out analysis direction because Schneider has already the patented for its innovation. So we set out from patent. In this case, the patent has a protection function. Because Schneider has filed patents internationally, especially in EU countries where the main competitor are. The protection scope of this patent involves not only substantial components of the machines, but also the process involved. So the competitor could not be allowed to commercially made, used, distributed, imported, or sold without Schneider's consent. That means the competitors could not be able to do reputation or imitation. Benefit to this patent portfolio, Schneider has a maintenance of the technological lead. Schneider management believes that due to this extent of these patents, no competitor has been able to develop a device of same quality or precision, despite the high demand of horizontal drilling machines. Bitte, Andre.
Yeah. And the returns are, since it's a patent in this case, are used to protect their own product, and the appropriation is guaranteed by their own sales. So the patent are used to protect this innovative drilling system and apparatus, and by selling the product, the appropriation is achieved. And the economic effect is premium price. So the IP is used to guarantee a sustainability and a premium price on the long term. And I'll let it to my colleague.
Okay, so in order to make a decision about this valuation, Baume has to identify an alternative, and even if we could choose not to buy the Schneider firm, it could also use the money to have an alternative investment. So to make the decision about the valuation, he will have to compare this valuation with the alternative investment. And to do that, he have to implement a comparison between he have to use the implementation of the comparison between the risk in the two cases. And then the second point is we are in a transfer-oriented valuation causes, so we have to choose if we have a value concept named value in use, or if we choose the transfer value one. Here in this use case, we are in the Baume point of view as a buyer. So the most concept we can use is the value in use one. Now let's move to the next step, sorry.
Okay.
So,
I think you've missed me.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay,
Number
Andrea. Just back to 7. Yeah, okay. So Bauma, which wants to acquire Schneider, would therefore be interested in what monetary benefit that it could gain or what that it could derive by exploiting through future activities. So it would make sense that Bauma uses an income approach, because an income approach allows you to do just that. And one such income approach that Bauma would use is the relief from royalty method, which allows you to incorporate cash flows, so future predicted cash flows. And it also allows you a component of the market approach, which is comparable usage. So based on that, Bauma would proceed on these 2 methods. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubhai. So step number 8 of the evaluation model is to analyze the objectification of the valuation. And what matters here is which type of information is the one that is going to be considered. And for this analysis, it's important to understand the cost. As we agreed before, this is transfer-oriented valuation cost. And according to the information that we got during the class, what matters here is the determination of the subjective value, which means that the objectification requirements are naturally lower. And because of this, all the available data and all the assumptions that are part of the analysis process should also be considered in the valuation analysis. And then the step number 9 is understanding the information and what reliability and relevance does the information have in this analysis. Again, this is a transfer-oriented valuation cost. And for this scenario, the information requires high requirements to the implemented data in terms of the relevancy, validity, and reliability. And of course, all other available information should be considered in this last step. And then the question number 6 is actually summarizing the whole chain of the steps of the evaluation process. We can come back, Andrea, to the slide number 3. And we can give a general overview of the analysis of the evaluation context in terms of the cost. The cost, of course, is very relevant for this analysis because it depends on it dictates all the decisions that you're going to take throughout the whole valuation process. In this case, we realize that it was a transfer-oriented cost. Here, the purpose is that the evaluator has a consulting role. As I also explained, we're looking here for the subjective value instead of the objective value. So this is important to understand in terms of the goal. Here, this is a internal transaction. There's no other external parties involved. The evaluation is performed for a internal information addressee. And then if we go to the slide number 7, we complete the second part of the model. The subject matter that is here in place is value in use. This is also dictated because of the cost of the evaluation that we decided. In this case, let's say IP and technology is going to stay within the same domain. So there's not going to be any change of the external complementary resources. So it stays in value in use. And then alternative investment. This is also part of the decision that should be made. We also explain how this decision should be evaluated. and that in case a second alternative is present at hand, we need to use a model that compares this in equivalent interest risk rate. And then the last two elements that I mentioned, objectification and information, how we are here looking more for the subjective value instead of the objective value. And with this, I think we give a really broad and general summary of the 9 and 10 steps of the valuation report.